Where do you think your game's improved the most, over this 3-year stretch, let's say, since you guys first went to the finals?
I think playing out of the back, we've made great strides. Still something that we work on the daily, and we need to. But I think we've gotten much better at it. There's definitely a good amount of possession that we are able to maintain, rather than boot a ball up. Our decision making has been good for the most part. Execution has been okay. I think I got bitten once these past 2 years out of a blatant error out of the back. I think was it New England? No, was it Philadelphia? Correct. Yeah. So mistakes will happen, and it's important that you keep believing in it and keep going with it. And we've made it a priority to really try to have that be a big part of our game as goalkeepers. That we're confident with our feet. Our attention to detail out here when we use our feet is to the smallest detail. How we demand the ball, how we receive it, how our touch is, what our intentions with it is, how we then deliver it, and what we want the other person to do with it. Big room for improvement is still there, but I've really enjoyed adding that to my game because the game is evolving, and that's a massive part of being a goalkeeper these days. And I want to keep getting better at it.
How hard are you on yourself nowadays, now that the room for improvement gets narrower and narrower compared to earlier in your career, let's say?
Oh, no, it doesn't get smaller. It's the sky needs to be the limit, There can't be any complacency or happiness with where you're at. I mean, happiness, okay, there's moments where, you can look at it and say, I've done good with this and that was a good accumulation of our hard work that manifested itself in a good save or a good distribution. That's great. You want to see your hard work transform into something, but you should never be satisfied. Never be complacent, and that won't even end when I retire with sports. I think that needs to be going on for the rest of our life. You need to better yourself. For us, it's easier to say, okay, better yourself on the pitch, but I think as a human being, you need to have that attitude at all times. I'm going to try to take that with me from the soccer pitch and translate it over into my everyday life when I retire.
How important is your experience coming into the playoffs? I mean, as a goalkeeper, maybe having to go through tough games and all of that, how important is that for a goalkeeper?
It's important for the whole team, and it's important for the current team. We always talk about, there's been guys who've been there and done that. But unless the whole unit has had experiences, I don't know if it really has the same effect. So hardships, which we have had plenty every year, I think those hardships you go through with the current squad are the ones that are most important. Really, like digging yourselves out of holes. The San Jose game, I think is great for us because it's a difficult game. It's an opponent that's going to push a little bit, maybe cheat a little bit. We go down a goal, extremely difficult now. What do you do? Had a couple of things that maybe we need to clean up on our corners to make sure we're defensively a bit more sound. But other than that, good patience and good will to keep going to the last second. And that collective experience that we gained as a unit for this year, and not just one individual that can look back 2-3 years ago, I've been there, done that. But us as a unit is massive.
How has Coach Smetzer helped guide you guys through those hardships which crop up, the last 3 years? You always come out the other end.
Yeah, I think he's always put the onus on us players. He said that this is your squad, and whatever you want to do with it, whatever you want to achieve with it, it's going to come down to you. I think the message is that nobody's going to do it for you, and especially when things are difficult. This is where you need to put that work in, and the only ones that are going to do that are the players. And so I believe that's been a characteristic and a strength of organization. We've had difficult spells, but we've always been able to keep working hard, believing in the talent of the squad, in the team, the composition that the GM and the coach have put together, and the guidelines that they've given us and the structure, all of that. But keep on not forgetting about the basics, which is the hard work and the belief in each other and the brotherhood. And that's I think what's given us the continued success. 10 years in playoffs, I think that's a massive achievement, and I'm extremely proud to be part of it.
Speaking of the San Jose game, how was it from your eyes in the last few minutes of the game when you were trying to get another goal and there were other games going on? Did you was it frantic? How did you deal with what you were trying to achieve in those moments?
Try to stay engaged in the game and just see it out to the very end. Not too concerned about other games. Happy that we had already clinched. As we know, if you make it to playoffs, however you make it in whatever road lies ahead, if you are in the playoffs, anything can happen. So for us to have been in the playoffs was great. The focus was more on just trying to give the ball and give the game the utmost respect to the very end. On my end, that means if I get the ball, if it comes my end, I mean we're pushing, but if it comes my end, can I get it back quickly? Can I get us another chance to maybe get another opportunity in the end? But I think we were focused on the game. We weren't worried, oh, what does this mean? What are the consequences? We were worried more about we want to win this game. We want to play well to the very end and show our character, and that's what we did.
Chad Marshall and Ozzie Alonso, two guys in front of you, also nominated for awards this year. What have you made of their seasons from your spot in goal?
I mean, for Ozzie, I'm so happy that he's been healthy this year. You know, I mean, he's been one of the best D-Meds in this league for a long, long time, and he's still got it, right? And everybody knows it. But when he's not on the pitch, then it's difficult, right? We need him on the pitch. We need that leadership and that skill on the pitch and not on the sideline. And so for him to be able to stay healthy this year and be able to showcase that again is tremendous. I'm super, super happy for him. I'm even more happy for our squad. Obviously, he's a pest. I don't think anybody wants to play against him. He's very, very difficult, very ambitious, and he likes challenges, and he usually wins them. And that's why I think it's been a good turnaround for him, good year for him, and he deservedly gets a nod there for comeback. And Chad's Chad, always consistent. I mean, that's the thing I think with goalkeepers and defenders mainly. You know, if you don't watch 90-minute games, and then you end up just watching highlights, you don't really see them that much unless they're having an absolute blinder. And as a goalkeeper, you don't want to be doing that. And as a defender, you shouldn't be asked to be in 3-goal highlights. You know, your job is to defend and be consistent. And I think if you've watched our games, 90-minute games, you've seen that that's what Chad Marshall brings. You know, he reads the game extremely well. Is obviously a big presence. Is good with his feet. I mean, can distribute really well for a big guy. And he's an attacking threat up top as well. So he's been the whole package for such a long time. I firmly believe they will name Defender of the Year Chad Marshall of the Year at some point. Honestly, I know, like I said, some people don't see the 90-minute games. They only see the highlights and they see, oh, I didn't see Chad Marshall. But watch a whole game and you know what I'm talking about.
Lighthearted question: is there a Halloween candy you can't refuse?
I'm not a big candy person, more of a chocolate person, so a Metropolitan cookie, will that do? I'm gonna go with that.
Steph, you've been in the playoffs now with both Brian Schmetzer and Ziggy Schmidt. Is there any differences between their styles and how that they've run this team that you've noticed and that you can speak on?
That's a good question. I think Schmetz, from the very, very first moment, when we were in a hole when Ziggy was let go. I don't know if he consciously decided how do we get out of it, and really work on our overall mentality or mental health and strength. But from the very beginning, it was a clear message of this is your team, and you guys can do with it and achieve with it whatever you can dream of and whatever you're willing to then put the work in with, So I think that's been an ongoing message with him, and not just a little bit something in the background, but something that he likes to repeat and remind everybody of. And it's true, right? I mean, soccer is a fluid game too, right? I mean, you have tactics and the coach wants to set things up, but sometimes things hit the fan and you need to be able to adjust, right? And the only people that can do that on the field are the players. You can't have a coach on the sideline scream and have you three steps to the left, you make sure you're watching your back. It's not going to happen. So I think all the work we are willing to put in here because we want to achieve things, like he is reminding us that we were capable of doing, is allowing us to have these opportunities to actually achieve things.